Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow.
As one of the most respected and talented comedians to ever step foot on the stage, well, Chris Rock has been dominating the entertainment industry for decades. Now, from his humble beginnings working on the New York City comedy circuit, to being discovered by Eddie Murphy, to hosting the Oscars in 2016, well, Rock has transformed himself into one of the most influential voices of his generation. I mean, come on. Tiger Woods, y'all. Every kid said that on the playground when I was growing up. And while his success in comedy might not have translated to box office gold for his 40-something odd movies, well, Chris has still crafted an enviable career that includes 6 comedy specials, an HBO series starring roles in Broadway plays, and a whole freaking sitcom based on the story of his childhood. Add all of that up and there's just no doubt about it, Chris Rock is an A-lister. But behind all that success was a difficult childhood in which Chris, well, he was forced to grow up much faster than most. Now, do you know where Chris got his first job as a teenager? If so, place your answers in the comments down below. For everyone else, well, stay tuned to our very dramatic history of the come up of Chris Rock. And yeah, this backstory, well, we actually do touch on the slap heard around the world. You'll just have to wait till the end for that. My God, what a crazy news day. All right, let's get into this video. Chris Rock was born Christopher Julius Rock III on February 7th, 1965 in Andrews, South Carolina. Now, the eldest son to Julius Rock, a truck driver, and Rose Rock, a school teacher, well, when Rock was a toddler, his family, they packed up their belongings and they relocated to Brooklyn, New York, where Chris would spend the rest of his childhood living in the Bed-Stuy neighborhood.
It's weird. I grew up like in the hood. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, but I went to school in like Bensonhurst and Garrison Beach. So I saw I saw the worst of black people, I saw the worst of white people.
It was a relatively nice block, but it was still located smack dab in the middle of a notoriously bad part of town. Now, thankfully, the family, they were close to one another, and Chris, as the oldest of 6 siblings, well, he learned quickly that he would have to help to provide for everyone else. Absorbing his parents' impressive work ethic, well, Chris, he took on odd jobs around the neighborhood, and when he was a little bit older, he began accompanying his father on rounds to deliver the New York Daily News. Now, during this still very early period in his life, well, Chris, he was attending a nearly all-white public school in the poor district of Gurdiston Beach. And as a result, well, he was often subjected to discrimination, deemed by racist slurs, and even at times he would get attacked.
I had a fight with Caruso, the school bully. He beat me so bad I had to take the Underground Railroad home.
Now, these bouts with discrimination, they would come to shape Chris's early comedy, and while Rock admits to feeling damaged by what happened to him during that time, well, he also learned to forgive those who hurt him over the years.
I was doing a movie a couple of years ago, and one of my bullies was working security on the movie.
Outside of the time spent working with his dad, well, Chris, he would also pick up a series of part-time gigs as well. Now, his first was at a discount store called Odd Lots, but he also worked at Red Lobster and McDonald's, all before entering the 10th grade. Now, that's when Chris, he decided to make a drastic change and dropped out of school. Planning to continue his career at Red Lobster while also earning his truck driver's license, well, Chris was preparing for a life on the open road. But before he could truly enact on this plan, well, life would throw him one last curveball. When Chris was only 17 years old and working towards his future career as a truck driver, well, he found himself in line to buy a ticket for Eddie Murphy's upcoming show at Radio City Music Hall. Now, that's the moment he spotted a notice on the wall that was promoting an open mic night for Catch a Rising Star, whose famous alumni, they include the likes of Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, Jerry Seinfeld, and more. Figuring he had nothing to lose, well, Chris landed a spot on the amateur open mic by lying about his age and telling people he was already 18 years old. Now, much to his surprise, well, he didn't bomb that first night, and from that point forward, well, Chris Rock became a part of the New York City comedy circuit. One night a few years later, it was Eddie Murphy's turn to watch Chris. Now, it happened in 1987, and from that point forward, well, Eddie would back Chris and put in a good word for him with executives over at HBO, who then booked the young comedian to appear on their stand-up series, Uptown Comedy Express.
I had a lot of jobs before I started comedy. I used to work at McDonald's, probably the low point of my life. You ever walk in McDonald's, get online, and the guy in front of you doesn't enough money to get anything? He's got like 40 cents, he's trying to bargain. He's like, yo, check this out, man, check this out, I got 40 cents.
Well, speaking with Rolling Stone about his early days in comedy, well, Chris, he would tell them, my first 15 times on stage I killed, like really big laughs. Then I got a little cocky and I proceeded to not get laughs for the next 4 years. As someone who was still more or less a novice, well, Chris, he would hone his craft by studying the art of stand-up with the help of his fellow comedians. For instance, Rock would spend days at a time with his friend Colin Quinn, analyzing one another's performances in immense detail. While Chris was doing his best to break into the world of comedy, well, he wasn't exactly putting all of his eggs in one basket. And by that I mean, well, he was also pursuing a career in music. In fact, he would later tell Rolling Stone that he secured a record deal with a big-time recording studio. He told them, "I got a deal at like Atlantic or Atlantic Subsidiary. There's demos of me rapping out there. It was before I was a comedian, way before." Now, Chris would go on to explain that his delivery on the mic, it wasn't up to par to most professionals, and eventually he would make the wise decision to give up on music and concentrate on comedy full-time. Now, in 1990, Chris would make the big times when he joined the cast of Saturday Night Live.
Black people aren't crazy. I mean, black people do stupid things. Black people snatch rope chains and rob liquor stores, but black people generally aren't crazy. When you watch the news and hear that somebody got their head chopped off and somebody drank the blood and they used the toes to play pool with, chances are that was a white guy.
Chris would spend 3 years on SNL and he'd enjoy some moderate success with characters like Nat X, but he then decided to pursue other opportunities when In Living Color offered him a starring role in their sketch series.
How can I help you?
Hum up for a pack of Hubba Bubba.
Pack of Hubba 50 cents.
50 cent, good lord, 50 cent.
Unfortunately, only a few episodes into his run, while In Living Color, it was canceled by Fox. Now that's when Chris, he made the leap to starring in feature films with his hip-hop comedy CB4, which was released in 1993. After opening at #1 at the box office, well, the film, it would totally fall off the map. And Chris's film career, well, it was off to a rocky start. Now, in an effort to reignite himself, well, Chris, he hit the stand-up circuit one more time in 1996, playing at small-time clubs. This is when Chris really began to hone his comedic sensibilities and began touching on subjects like race relations, drug addiction, and poverty, all while revealing the comedy behind some very serious and very painful truths. Emboldened by a positive reception his new material was getting, well, Rock reached out to HBO, who booked him for his comedy special, Bring the Pain, in 1996.
I think they should just legalize crack. Legalize it. You know why I want them to legalize crack? Just so my friends' mothers can have something to brag about. You know, Ronald got his own crack house now.
2 Emmy Awards later at HBO, they would offer Chris the chance to headline his own series, The Chris Rock Show, which ran from 1997 to the year 2000. Now, during the same time, well, Chris, he would reignite his movie career, as well as starring in a series of films like Lethal Weapon 4 and Dr. Dolittle. Now, he still wasn't a big-time movie star, but it didn't matter, because when it came to the world of comedy, well, Chris Rock, he was one of the biggest names in the world. Despite his monumental and unquestionable success, well, life wouldn't necessarily become any easier for Chris. Now, in 1996, he'd marry his girlfriend, Malik Compton. 8 years later, well, these two would be parents to 2 little girls, Lola and Zahara. But family life was never something that came easy for Chris. Now, by the time their second daughter was only 10 years old, well, Chris and Malak, well, they were filing for divorce from one another in 2014. Now, at the time, Chris, he would reveal that the disintegration of his marriage, well, it was much of his own making. Now, he would admit to a series of infidelities as well as a crippling adult film addiction that actually began to prevent him from functioning like a normal person. Now, Rock would also begin several hours of therapy a week after a friend recommended that he get tested for potentially having Asperger's syndrome. Now, Chris would undergo 9 hours of cognitive tests and was eventually diagnosed with NVLD, or nonverbal learning disorder. Now, this makes it difficult for him to understand body language upon other like nonverbal gestures. Crazy, right?
I'm a total fucking weirdo. Anybody that knows me has been around me. It's like, what's up with that guy? It's a little, does he like me? You know how many people say that, think I don't like him? I suffer from big ego, low self-esteem.
Now, Chris would explain his condition as taking things too literally most of the time, a type of like all or nothing thinking. And while this condition has had some unforeseen benefits for his career over the years, it's now become something that Chris would like to wrestle control over. In fact, he told The Hollywood Reporter, "By the way, all of those things are really great for writing jokes. They're just not great for one-on-one relationships." Speaking of not being able to read body language, well, let's finally get to the elephant in the room, shall we? Because in a sense, Chris's diagnosis, well, it might have a little something to do with what happened at the Oscars just a few nights ago. But to be fair, it actually all starts a few years earlier in 2016 when Chris Rock was hosting the Oscars for the second time. Now that year, there had been calls for a boycott of the ceremony after not a single African-American actor was nominated in any of the acting categories. Now, many African-American celebrities, including Jada Pinkett Smith, well, they would refuse to attend the ceremony as a result. Now, when Chris took to the stage, he referenced both the boycott and Jada during his opening monologue, poking fun at that situation.
Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Then we also took a moment to offer a friendly jab at Will, who despite the critical acclaim he received for his work in Concussion, well, he too had not been nominated.
But I understand, I'm not hating. I understand you're mad. Jada's mad, her man, Will, was not nominated for Concussion. I get it. Tell the truth, I get it.
Now, outside of a brief appearance by Rock on a 1995 episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, well, he and Will don't have much of a relationship to speak of. At least not one that's like publicly known.
Now, which one of you handsome men is Big Willie? He is.
But needless to say, Chris's performance at the 2016 Oscars, it must have left a sour taste in both Will and Jada's mouth, because when Chris took the stage to present the award for Best Documentary in 2022, well, he brought up Jada once again, and then this happened.
Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow.
And from there, the internet totally blew up. We're still actually sifting through the fallout from that clip. But needless to say, well, the careers of both Will Smith and Chris Rock, they might look very different moving forward. We'll just have to wait and see how things shake out because, yeah, we're still in the middle of it and things are getting a little awkward.
Keep my wife's name out your f***ing mouth!
Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back up, I'll chat to you later on. We'll be at the after party, the Win nightclub, baby.
Okay.
Regardless, at the end of the day, both men are legends, and I think they've made up. Not like in person, but at least like online. And well, Chris Rock did not press charges. I mean, he grew up in Bed-Stuy. He knows better. I don't know. Anyways, guys, we're wrapping up this video here. My name is Michael McCrutton. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in another video. Boom!